everyone, I'm Astro Coach Amy. Thanks so much for joining me today on the Divine GPS Navigator. Today we're going to be talking about the solar eclipse, which occurs July 12th, and that's at 7:47 p.m. Pacific Daylight Time. The eclipse, the solar eclipse, is when the new moon will be passing in front of the sun, and of course it casts a shadow around the world. And because this is a partial eclipse, most of it actually is occurring over the Pacific and Indian Ocean. And except for a few friends in Australia, this one won't be as visible as the last eclipse. However, the impact of the eclipse is the same. The important time of really completing some old chapters and beginning the new cycles is so important. This new moon and solar eclipse, the sun and moon, are in the air sign of Gemini. And they will be in an opposition, which means it's a time to balance the energy. And Pluto is in the fire sign of Sagittarius. So what's important about this pattern is many of us, of course, have gotten in a routine where it's been more comfortable to restrict what we say to people. This eclipse is the idea of opening up the energy both spiritually, mentally, and really being able to speak our truth. To really, with Pluto there, it's saying let's eliminate old tendencies we may have had to want to control our emotions, our speech, with the idea of being safe and controlling ourselves. This is an idea, this is an opportunity to transform that, to speak from our heart and really open things up. Now, as I mentioned, the energy, it's more subtle with the solar eclipse. However, you'll still feel the strong energy for a couple of days before the event until a couple of days afterwards. And I do encourage all of you to take some quiet time. Try and unplug even for a few minutes in the morning and be able to just reflect and quiet your mind, as well as in the evening, because this is a time of great new possibilities. And it's important to plant the seed for the next 6 months. What do you want? What do you want to grow from this new time? It's also valuable to go back and reflect on what occurred in your life the end of January and early February when we had our most recent eclipses. What changed? What shifted? And what do you want to expand upon, and what do you want to release for this next cycle? So it's a very exciting and powerful time, even though it's a bit more subtle. Now, I'd like to look at some of the other aspects that are very important during this eclipse as well. We have another Grand Trine in air. I've been speaking about this in our show for some time. And again, a Grand Trine is of great harmony and strength. And because it's in air, which is about communication, this month we have the sun and moon in Gemini, as I mentioned. We have Jupiter in Libra, and also Neptune is in Aquarius. So this is an extremely powerful time to communicate really on a higher wavelength, to look at ways to collaborate, look at ways that harmony can bring exciting new ideas, new potential. There's also really some new expansion, things you haven't even thought of, and much of that can come by working together as a team or even a partnership. In addition, with Neptune still there, as we mentioned, in Aquarius, as you take the opportunity, any kind of projects that could be global in nature for the community, that could expand things, improve communication, especially media. We could certainly use some positive media connections. There is tremendous potential here. In addition, we have a Grand Trine in fire. So it is, as I mentioned, a powerful eclipse. The Grand Trine in fire also is about harmony. However, with all that fire, it's creativity and spirituality. We have Uranus in Aries, and we have Venus in Leo, and Saturn is in Sagittarius. So again, this is a really exciting time. There's tremendous creativity in all ways. Again, it's also about expanding the spiritual dimension. It doesn't have to be esoteric, and even just be something with a focus on the higher good, but there's great potential for that right now. things that you, again, haven't thought of, perhaps music, new ideas, theater, all kinds of things in film. These are exciting times when many of these new projects can take place. Certainly the seeds to begin them, and sometimes even come to fruition. Now, in addition, we have another challenge aspect, and that is Uranus, as I mentioned in Aries, is going to make a square, which means we're asked to integrate two very different energies. With Uranus and Aries, it really is about revolution of our change, our spiritual idea, our mental ideas, really being able to expand. However, Mars in Capricorn is still about achievement, money, success, and being the best. Now, this square is really about all of us being able to take a look at some of those innermost thoughts we may have of being able to shift from wanting to be the one to control, to have, to do the best. This is a pattern of saying if we can set that control aside and really look for the higher good and look for the win-win, this is a time when instead of control, we can look at the idea of true, if you will, mental and spiritual power of uniting, doing things for the higher good, tuning in with that great ego we have, and having tremendous accomplishments and even greater success than we'd ever dreamed of. Now, I have talked in our previous shows about the Mars retrograde. I would like to just touch upon it again because it is retrograde for another 6.5 weeks. I know myself, I've definitely been challenged with some frustration and irritation. And remember, this cycle isn't about challenging us. It's rather, instead of being the human doings and, like I said, pushing for the achievement every day and wanting it to be our way, the importance of this Mars retrograde in Capricorn is about seeing the bigger picture. In other words, it isn't just about being the best or making the most. This cycle for the next 6.5 weeks is how can you even reorganize. Remember, the retrogrades, you organize, rethink, review, and reflect. So instead of achievement, perhaps there are ways to see it in the bigger picture. Are there ways to do things that will benefit all? That, again, as we talked about, a win-win. Can you find ways to release that, whether it's through exercise, some kind of yoga? But can you look at your routine each day, set the intention? I'm going to encourage you all to have greater compassion towards yourself, towards others. People feel restless, they're frustrated right now. And if you can see not only compassion, but that patience is what can allow you to do things differently. Maybe you can be more efficient in the way you work at home or at the office. Maybe you can even do your routine differently in the physical world or even in your schedule. But if you can give yourself that time, I think you may see a different level of success and growth and progress that you hadn't imagined. So just know when those frustrations are up right now that it's a sign that you're really going to a higher level. So stick with it. As I mentioned to you, it is a very dynamic summer, and there have only been a few times in history when we've actually recorded 5 eclipses. So I do want to plant the seed. It's a special time this summer. Let's celebrate our progress, and by all means, try and have gratitude each day for a few things, because that will strengthen your connection to your divine source. So important right now as things on the planet do feel very intense and involved on a certain level. Let's remember, we have the lunar eclipse will be on July 27th, and then we'll have another eclipse in August, which I'll be discussing in the next show. And also this summer we have Mercury retrograde. That will occur July 26th. So we'll have an exciting show next time when we'll talk about how to use the Mercury retrograde for those several weeks, as well as how to use the energy of this powerful upcoming lunar eclipse. I'm so glad you joined me. I'm Master Coach Amy. If you'd like a reading or if you have any questions, please contact me at my website or my email. Have a great day.